I will say the New York Times taught us a lot, and it helped us prepare better for our Shark Tank visibility, because when we were in the New York Times, we weren't ready for that. And we had this huge peak of orders that came in and traffic and what have you. But then we didn't capture that, and we didn't retarget them, and we didn't do anything with it. And then the peak went away and it went back to business as usual. It was really a blessing. We were really lucky to have that experience before Shark Tank, because we learned a lot.
Hello there, and welcome back to the London Food Network podcast, where we dive into the stories, struggles, and successes of the people shaping the future of food and hospitality. Today I'm joined by Kirsten Maitland, co-founder of Rebel Cheese, an Austin-based artisan vegan cheese shop and deli that's redefining what plant-based cheese can be. Rebel Cheese combines the craftsmanship of traditional cheese making with the innovation of plant-based ingredients, and it built a cult following for their incredible range of cheeses, sandwiches, and sustainable approach to food. We'll talk about how Rebel Cheese started, the science and creativity behind making plant-based cheese taste this good, and what it takes to build a conscious, community-driven brand in such a competitive industry. As always, today's episode is powered by Embrace AI Consultancy, helping food and hospitality businesses streamline marketing, lead generation, and operations through smart automation and AI integration. So, without further ado, let's introduce you. So how are you, Kirsten?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So welcome, and please tell me more about this incredible business you've created and all the wonderful varieties of vegan cheeses and where it's all come from.
That's a great question. It's been a journey, that's for sure. We just celebrated our 6-year anniversary a couple months ago. We originally started Rebel Cheese because my husband and I, we went plant-based overnight and set out to go put a picnic together like we love to do, and couldn't find a single gourmet cheese for that picnic. All we could find on the shelves were slices, spreads, or shreds, and you can't pair that with a line or put it on a charcuterie board. So we were really disappointed, but determined. So we started experimenting at home, and our first brie was born out of our 8-bottle wine fridge at home. And when I took a bite into that first iteration of our brie, I knew we were onto something and had to make this at scale. So that was when the idea or the seed for Rebel Cheese was planted.
Wow. And how long ago was that now?
That was 6 years ago, and we actually started as a restaurant in Austin, Texas, and we opened that 3 months before COVID hit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and when we opened the restaurant, there was a lot of uncertainty about it as it was, because it was the first of its kind. That at the time, there were no vegan delis and wine shops really anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
So
but
we had no idea how this thing would do. Luckily, when we opened, there was a line out the door. So we're like,
oh,
phew,
wow.
thank goodness we stand a chance. But then COVID hit a few months later, like I mentioned, and like other small businesses, we had to start pivoting. And that's when we got into our online sales and our cheese club. We started selling direct to other businesses and doing wholesale. We didn't plan to do any of those things. And now e-commerce is 80% of our business revenue.
Wow. And what happened to the restaurant?
It's still there, but it's a very small percentage of our business now. But the good thing about the restaurant that I really do love, we have a location in New York too, is that we sample our cheeses so you can get real-time feedback on products, which is invaluable. You can launch something new and sample it to our customers and get
Right.
honest feedback on it and decide, do we need to modify this recipe, launch it, or completely remove it from the line? So that's how we've evolved our products, is from getting that real time in the moment feedback from our customers. So it's great for that. It's also great for marketing. We love serving our community. being a part of the community. Those are all huge things. So even though it's become a smarter part of our revenue, it's still obviously incredibly important to the business.
And I see as well your website, by the way, I have to say, your imagery is fantastic. But I guess the real star of the show is the actual cheeses. It's amazing what incredible colors, shapes. It just looks delicious.
That's the goal. I've always believed I used to be a diehard cheese lover myself before I went vegan. And it really is about the entire end to end experience. You eat with your eyes first.
Yeah.
So it has to look good. It can't look like a blob or a weird
Yeah.
color. Yeah, who's gonna want to eat something that's like a weird brown color or yeah, no thanks.
Absolutely.
So it has to look good. It has to have the same or similar texture. Like, and our cheeses have gone through hundreds of iterations to get to that point, and I won't compromise on those things, even if it takes a couple weeks to make the cheese and it's very handmade. That's how I get there. It is expensive to make because of all of that, but I feel like it's worth it because that's the only way you can have gourmet plant-based cheese.
And tell me more about the why, because you said you went vegan overnight as if something happened. Is there a particular reason that forced you that? Was it a medical thing? Was it just a program? What was it? What was that?
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. So there were a few things. Both my parents passed away very young from cancer, like my dad at 44 and my mom at 53. So I really started reading up on cancer and things that you can do to prevent cancer. And I read a book by Dr. Michael Greger called How Not to Die. And he has a chapter on cancer. And I was actually surprised on the relationship between dairy and cancer. Like in the lab, they've turned cancer on and off with dairy. So, like, after reading
Really?
that and my personal experiences with my parents, that was it for me overnight. I cut it out. Because anything I can do, I feel like it's obviously a very personal thing. Anything I can do to try and prevent that, I'm going to do it because it's always a concern given my family history. Plus, my cholesterol was through the roof. There were a lot of things that led to that decision. And at around the same time, so it wasn't like I gave up cheese overnight and I was like, okay, I'm going to start a vegan cheese company. I was actually a tech consultant at the time, and my husband was a consultant in construction, and we were both looking for something that we wanted to start a business that aligned with our values. And we started brainstorming, and that's where this idea was born and why we decided to do it.
Interesting. And since you went vegan, I mean, like 100% vegan, have you noticed a change in your
Oh,
health, in your, what changes have you noticed?
I love data. I'm a very data driven person, and all of my numbers improved across the board. Even as a teenager, I had high cholesterol.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, because it got passed down in my family. So this is like the first
Mm.
time in my life that my cholesterol is low, my blood pressure is low. All the like medical indicators are all really good. Like I get a very comprehensive blood work done every year. My energy too. I run in a business, I don't sleep much.
You're right. Another thing.
I'm like, I should be a lot more tired than I am, given the amount of sleep I get. Like some nights I get 4 hours of sleep, and that happens often, and I'm fine. I'm still able to work the long days, but it's not for everyone. And I think we have to be careful when we talk about these things because there is such a thing as an unhealthy vegan diet too. Like Oreos are vegan, donuts are vegan, there's vegan burgers, there's vegan hot dogs. So there's a lot of processed vegan food too. So it's not like a blanket, straightforward thing.
Yeah, that's the subject I was going to touch on next, is exactly that, is veganism is such a funny kind of diet, if you want to call it a diet lifestyle, because
Yeah.
there's all these companies that went on the vegan kind of bandwagon and creating all these wonderful meat-like products. But in order to do so, you've got to add an enormous amount of ingredients, and it goes against the whole point. surely like the point of vegan to me would be just basically eating more natural at the end of the day and eliminating certain foods. That's the kind of ethos I would imagine is the one to follow, or at least the very point of that diet, right?
Yeah, and that's a really good point, and I can also tie that back to our cheeses too. There's a plant-based and then there's vegan. So plant-based is focusing on things in their natural state that haven't been highly processed, right? And then vegan could be some of these highly processed things. So I think there's an important distinction there. In where cheeses like our brie, it's just nuts, cashews, cultures, salt, water, and fava bean protein, and that's it. But then
Wow,
when you
really,
look at, yeah, that's
very
it.
well.
And when you look at some of the others, there's 20 things in there. You don't know what they are. You don't know what they're doing to your body. Like our bodies, they don't know what to do with some of these ingredients. They didn't exist 100 years ago. Then our bodies aren't designed to digest some of those things or process them. So I think there is an important distinction there. And I'm not perfect by any means. So yeah, I have my cheat days and cheat meals that has processed stuff in there. If I'm in a
Well, we
pinch and
all
I'm
do.
traveling.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's unrealistic to live off the land entirely in the
Yes.
society we live in, and especially if you run a business, because more often than not, you're busy. It's as simple as that. You don't, unless you've got your own private chef making your meals fresh every day, which I'm sure you don't. Or if you do,
No.
well, good.
Yeah, no.
Well,
It's just being intentional and doing the best you can. So I just try to pay attention. I try to cook all my meals as much as I can, and just so I know what's going in them. And that's it. But didn't start that way. And it took a long time to get to that point to figure out, because it's all about when you go vegan, it's about figuring out alternatives, replacements to what you used to eat. And it took
yeah.
time to figure out what does and doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as well. I don't actually think that is because I was looking at your cheeses and I really wanted to buy some, but of course you're in the States, so it'd be impossible to get that in the UK. And I was trying to see whether actually maybe in the UK there's a version of you out there somewhere. And there's nothing quite as captivating, shall we say, as what you have on offer. Do you have any plans to branch out and go international? Is that even a thought?
Oh, absolutely. And England would be our first place. So I'm actually in New York right now, and we're in a market here in New York. It's called Essex Market, and we love that model. We get to sample a lot. There's high traffic,
Mhm.
exposes a lot of people to our cheese. It's our dream in the future to be in something like Borough Market. We love Borough
Oh,
Market
you're
in
two
London.
miles from me.
You're so lucky. We love that place. Of course, there's a lot of dairy cheese that dominates that market there. We'd love to have a
Oh, but
vegan
you know
version
what? I
there.
can introduce you to people. You've got Neil's Yard Dairy. That's one of my neighbors, actually. And they've got big distribution with very unique cheeses. So they'd be a great point of contact to help you with distribution for
That would be
sure.
great. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the market's there for it for sure. I think there's a big market for this.
yeah, I agree. Some people, they just can't eat dairy, right? Because they're allergic or have some sensitivity, but they still want to have a charcuterie board or whatever. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
our market.
No, I don't. I'm not milk intolerant or of any, but I don't really buy milk. I
Eh,
avoid it, but I do love cheese.
yeah.
And I think the things that I realized with dairy is you get more congested. That's I think probably the easiest way to tell that dairy is in your body because I think that's a kind of natural side effect, whether you're tolerant, intolerant, or not. I do believe that dairy products will create more mucus. I think that's a widely known thing, right? I'm not making this up.
No, that sounds right. Yeah, there's a few things that I've read. There's that, and then it can cause like breakouts too on the skin. And I think everybody reacts differently. It's different things for different people. But
Mm.
yeah, yeah. In the States, there's actually a new allergy called alpha-gal that's caused by tick bites, and it will
Oh,
make you allergic to meat and dairy overnight. And I
no way.
swear we didn't start this spreading, and it's mostly on the East Coast right now and in the South. I think it started in Arkansas. And yeah,
That's crazy.
it's wild. It's like those customers have been reaching out to us. They're like, I didn't choose this. I got bitten by this tick and now I can't
Wow.
eat dairy. And they're like, I'm mad about it. but I finally found something good. It's a replacement. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna pause for a second. I've just rung the doorbell. Give me
Okay.
2 minutes. I'll be back. Cool. I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Hi. So we were talking about this new illness, right?
Yeah, the alpha-gal allergy. So yeah, that one's been interesting because they're not choosing to give up dairy, but this new allergy that there is no cure for right now is causing people to be allergic to it overnight, and it's spreading. So it's becoming a top 10 allergy in the States to meat and dairy. I don't think you need to worry too much in England because I don't think it gets hot enough over there for protection.
Probably not.
I think you're safe from it.
Oh no. Climate change and all. It'd be nice if it got warmer in England. I'll take that allergy risk with a bit of sunshine.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, actually most of it, like 60-70% of our customers aren't vegan. They're just avoiding dairy or allergic to it or treating it like a meal replacement every now and then just to be a little bit healthier.
But to be honest, it just sounds delicious because even the smoked cheddar, that just sounds so yummy. And I was looking at the ingredients list for that, so a longer ingredients list, but all single ingredients. There's not one ingredient there that I don't think I recognize, that I don't recognize. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
sounds very flavorsome. Now, how do you create these flavors? Like, how do you do this? Well, who's actually creating these products and mixing up such a variety of ingredients to create these kind of flavors? How does that work?
Yeah, I get really excited talking about that question because that's where my passion comes in. I mean, we've been creating and evolving these recipes for 7, 8 years now, and we heavily rely on the techniques. So you just mentioned the smoked cheddar. We actually cold smoke that in a smoker over mesquite chips for hours rather than adding liquid smoke in there as an
Yeah,
ingredient because we feel like those types of things have a huge difference, have a huge impact on the quality and the end result of the product. So we relied heavily on dairy techniques. We've studied them, continue to study them. Over the years, we brought in cheese experts, dairy cheese experts, to help us create and refine our recipes. Like our brie, it's only 5 ingredients, but the steps to make it, the process is pages and pages long.
Yeah.
And the cave, I consider the cave to be an ingredient that it goes in. Like the intricacies of that are really important. All the steps it takes to make it, it takes 2 weeks to make. If we didn't do all of those things, it wouldn't taste like anything. So it's all about the techniques, and that's how we're able to keep our cheeses so clean, but it's also why they taste so similar to the dairy equivalents.
Yeah, no, I think you've done a great job. And again, your website, all the platters, you must get really busy for Christmas, right? This must be a much busier time of year for you in terms of orders for Christmas.
It is November and December by far our most crazy months. Yeah, we're getting ready to ship out 20 to 30,000 orders each month.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's a huge amount of logistics. Wow.
yeah, and we do it all ourselves too. We own a whole end-to-end vertical, so we package, we fulfill, we ship, we make it, we do everything.
Gosh, Kirsten, that must be an incredible operation. I'd love to see that. I'm such a geek for these things. I love to see these. I'd love to see these things in action. It must be
Yeah,
like an ant's nest in there with activity.
that it is. It absolutely is.
So 6 years ago, you only started 6 years ago, and you've now got, I guess, hundreds of thousands of orders in the course of the years, right? Like how
Well, we
many?
don't. Okay.
No, go on. Go on.
We don't do that volume year round. Those November, December are our busiest months by far. But yeah, it is tremendous growth from where we started for sure.
Walk us through that, because I find that the most inspiring kind of story, really, because you've gone from concept off the back of a kind of radical health change, and both of you employed in different industries altogether, really. So you went for the restaurant just before COVID. You started a restaurant, obviously that was difficult, I'm sure. You had to diversify. You've gone online, and at some point you must have gone viral, maybe. Has that what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We had a few viral moments,
nice.
but we were in the New York Times a couple of times. They reached out to us and they were most interested in the cave age cheeses. And they did a big article, plant-based cheese, the evolution of plant-based cheese. And then they included us in their gift guide. And then we were on Shark Tank after that.
Oh, really? Wow, cool.
Yes. But I will say the New York Times taught us a lot and it helped us prepare better for our Shark Tank visibility because when we were in the New York Times, we weren't ready for that. And we had this huge peak of orders that came in and traffic and what have you. But then we didn't capture that and we didn't retarget them and we didn't do anything with it. And then the peak went away and it went back to business as usual. It was really a blessing. We were really lucky to have that experience before Shark Tank because we learned a lot. It's great being on Shark Tank. We're super grateful for it, but you have to keep that momentum going for it to get the value out of it and also execute well when all of that traffic comes in. So we learned our lesson and we set up email flows in Klaviyo. We
Nice.
started doing paid ads, which we'd never done before. We started retargeting. And that's what's kept the momentum from that growth because otherwise we may not have continued to grow, but because we did those things, we did.
Sometimes you need these lessons, you know, that's the problem with running a business. It's a very expensive form of education. People pay a lot of money to go to university. We lose a lot of money to learn.
It's so true. And yeah, yeah. And we continue to have expensive lessons. Like when we put our projections together, I'm always bringing that up. Like we need a placeholder for whatever's going to go wrong that's going to be costly because it's going to happen no matter what. It always does.
No,
So
sorry.
last year, a shipping partner overcharged us by 200K, stuff
Wow.
like that.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
be careful, right? But easily done, especially when
Mhm.
it's dealing with the kind of quantities you're probably buying. It's just a mistake of a zero. It's little things that can make an enormous impact, right? And Yeah, and you get trusting of the numbers. You get trusting of everyone doing their thing, and especially when humans are involved, there's always going to be mistakes, always. And
Yep.
the food industry can be very unforgiving because the margins are small. There's a lot of variables, and the cost of goods are very heavy. You can easily slip down a very bad path.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The good news is the way I see it, and this is where AI comes into play, at least for me, is you can set up automations pretty easily or tools to monitor those things. That's how I solved my shipping problem. I was
Right.
like, okay, this happened, it sucked. How do I prevent this from not happening again? I have a tool in place now that watches that like a hawk.
That's what I love. Now, this is my kind of playtime is this kind of automation and AI. Because it's the same with my business. We run a business with a very lean admin team, and the only way I've managed to do that is through automation and, of course, AI at the moment. If used correctly, it's incredibly giving. And yeah, tell me more about this. I do love this part. Let's explore that. So, walk me through some of your. What kind of AI do you use? Is it an AI that you created yourself, or is this an off-the-shelf kind of product that you've implemented?
I created it myself. And so basically, what happened, we were heads down. This was at Christmas a year ago, heads down, getting orders out, really busy. We come up for air in January, February, and we're like, what? Wait a minute. What happened here? What's going on? Why are these bills so high?
Mm.
And we dive deeper. And like I mentioned, we were overcharged by like $200,000. So then I start getting into the details on the invoices, doing a deep dive, going line by line. And it was just like silly little reasons like, oh, the box bulged by a quarter inch, or stuff that could have easily been prevented had I known. So I was like, okay, this sucks and this is never going to happen again. So I created a tool. And the thing I love about today's world is you can so easily vibe code a tool with zero coding knowledge using like Lovable or Bowl, or there's so many great tools out there to do this. So I vibe coded a tool which basically you upload the invoice for the week and it compares it to my contract line by line, and then creates a report with any discrepancies that we then send to our shipping partner. And when we first started doing this, it was so funny. It was
Mm.
finding like $10,000 in discrepancies a week, and that's low volume time. And now that our shipping partner knows we're looking at this and holding them accountable, that number each week has slowly been going down. And now it's down to a few $100 because they know we're watching. So,
That's incredible. That's a great story, Kirsten. That's like exactly what, because everybody, not everybody, but there's a lot of negative kind of talk about AI and automation, and people are scared and people talk down on it and this. And I say to myself, look, actually, what you just said now is a prime example of why, if you can, implement it because it works 24/7. Once you set up and you train it, it's going to do a much better job than even you will. And at the end of the day, what do you want to be spending your time on? Checking the
yeah,
bottom line on everything, or doing the innovation, growing the business, coming up with the ideas, the projects? And that's the thing. So many people get bogged down with this kind of detail that they never actually grow because entire time, entire day is consumed by mindless tasks that can now be automated.
that's exactly it. And these companies intentionally make these things complicated, right? So the contract is hundreds and hundreds of pages long. It would take hours or a full-time person to go line by line, checking that stuff. And this scenario applies to so many things in the business world.
Yeah.
If you have a co-packer, you could use it to hold that co-packer accountable. You could use it to keep a pulse on ingredient costs. Anything that costs a lot of money with complicated contracts, you could apply this model to. Because I hear it stories of these things happening all the time.
Yeah,
And they're
you should join my consultancy, Kirsten. This is the kind of problem here as well. I'd love your knowledge and expertise. Come on board.
yeah, this stuff is so much fun to me. I love it. This is
Yeah,
like yeah.
absolutely. Kirsten, I'm really sorry, but my daughter's pulling me. 1 second. So sorry.
Yeah.
So sorry.
No worries.
Yes. No, I love it. I think, and I guess a lot of the success you're going to have in your business, especially longer term, is like, you're future proofing your business. And this will step you miles away from competition as well, because so many people are still, you wouldn't believe that some of the businesses I meet, they still use pen to paper for a lot of their processes. And I think, like, how?
Yeah. And
Incredible.
there's so many different, I even have a cheese scientist custom GPT that I brainstorm with when I'm working on recipes. And that's been life changing too. Like it's come up with ideas literally would have taken me months or years to come up with. It's just, I've trained it on years and years of my research, right? So it's not like I'm starting from scratch and it doesn't have context. Once you give it all of that context, you really are taking what could take months or years and reducing it to days or weeks.
Absolutely. No, that's exactly what I've done. I've created even an agent for my business now, so that my team, I've got a go-to for any question they have. It gives better answers than I can give.
Yeah.
Obviously, an enormous amount of time that I would have to spend on answering, oftentimes very minor things that to them, of course, are big.
Yeah.
But the GPT can answer that because I fed it all the knowledge I've got, and it's got a much better memory than I do. So
Yeah.
it can recount and quote pretty much anything that's required.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm like, I'm going to steal that idea.
Well, I'm actually training one now where I'm going to train it on all of our due diligence. So we've got live documents where all our due diligence is filled. And what I want to try and do is create a system now whereby if there's ever a complaint or a problem about quality or anything at all, whether it's labeling issue, any kind of recall, anything at all, it's going to be able to answer that query based on coming in and looking at the batches, when the production dates were, temperature at the time, and just basically collate a document that will be our automatic response to any kind of query regarding these sorts of events.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I love that stuff. There's just so much potential.
Yeah,
Even for the most basic things can have such a huge impact.
absolutely. Even at home, I've actually started training my children on how to use ChatGPT as well, because I said to them, the danger of ChatGPT is it likes to please. So I can just picture my kids going to ChatGPT for maybe advice or whatever it may be. And I think if you're not careful, you're going to be. I teach them that basically it's all about the prompts, and you've got to make sure that you prompt it to tell you things as it is, not as you want to hear it, because it gives you the information in a biased way. So it can potentially reinforce maybe negative thoughts in a way, or it can facilitate your way of thinking, which is not necessarily a good thing for, especially a teenager. So it's just teaching my children how to use it properly. And it's the same lessons to other people as well, whether it's your team, other businesses I consult with. And it's such an important part of AI that I think often gets overlooked is the quality of the prompt is going to dictate quite heavily how useful it is.
That is so true. Yeah. Some of my team members are a little resistant to it. And I think that's why when I've been trying to talk to them about it, what you get out what you put in. If you ask it like a four-word question and you're expecting like a consultant style report, you just not gonna get it, or you will and it'll be crap. Like,
Yeah,
and so yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. It's
Yeah.
true. It's true. And that's where the agents come in, because at least you can train it then. And I've trained the agents as well to make sure to ask questions. So if it gets a
Oh,
question from my team that's not quite sufficient, don't just answer it, just keep prodding until you get a full enough question to actually warrant the answer that it's going to give. So
that's a
yeah,
great idea.
yeah. Well, it's just, yeah, I love it. It's like my playground. I feel like a kid playing
Yeah.
Lego.
Oh, I love it too. Yeah, it's definitely the fun part of my job. I just don't have as much time as I'd like to spend on it. So it's normally
Yeah,
like a nighttime weekend thing. I'm like, "Gosh, I have all these ideas I want to do, but we'll get there."
yeah, no, it's a really good tool. And I think, especially like for me, almost going bankrupt, I think it was about 3 years ago, We lost a lot of clients coming out of COVID. It was really difficult. We just didn't. I didn't prepare the. It was my fault really for not prepared things better. But anyway, there was a perfect storm of all kinds of factors, and I had to get rid of half my team. So all of the things I learned, I just had to learn overnight because I had to find ways to run a business with half the team, and it forced me
Wow.
to really think outside the box and think about what can I do to actually automate things, create systems, what ordering platform can we use? Then there was AI, automated ordering. Now my customers can order and the AI will convert any order onto a purchase order in my system. That system then sends it directly to the ops team for picking and packing. Once that's picked and packed, that automatically generates the invoice on the route. All these things that save us an enormous amount of time and save the business ultimately. Yeah, it's a nice tool set to use. And I think if you want to future-proof your business, absolutely embrace AI and automation.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Because I mentioned November, December is our busiest time of the year. So what we started doing in like March, April was training our customer service, AI bots and AI voice and all of that. So we didn't have to hire three, four more
Yeah,
people
exactly.
to handle the peak in the inbox. It actually took a while to train it because we get a lot of different questions and our product's new and there's all these intricacies. But I'm really glad we did because some days it answers hundreds of emails.
Really, wow.
That's allowed us to streamline our customer service. There is some risk associated with that because you might miss the odd thing here or there, or it
Cool.
might where it answers the customer incorrectly. So you always got to have a human in the loop watching this stuff, spot
Cool.
checking this stuff. There is a little bit of risk, but I think the risk is worth it ultimately because we
Well,
didn't have
it's
to
a numbers
hire.
game. Yeah, it's a
But
numbers game, isn't it? It's like the ROI, if you like, on that is significant. So yes, you might have a few percent that it doesn't work for, but then if you were to have humans there, then what would you do? You'd have to increase prices. Humans
yeah,
make errors as well anyway. You'd have to have
yeah,
bigger premises, more infrastructure, more contracts, temporary staff training, time taken
yeah.
out. It's you name it. It's countless what effects there is of scaling with people, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then the other positive, the customer service team that we do have, we're able to promote them, give them more responsibility, yeah,
Exactly.
year round because it frees them up to work on like higher value things. So instead of being trapped just answering the same emails each day, they're able to focus on other things and grow their career. So that's the other huge benefit that I've seen. Like our first in-person customer service person we hired has grown so much since we've done all of this.
Right. That's the good that you're teaching them this though, Rob, because again, it's a case that I think if you don't learn to use it, you will get left behind. So just learn as much as you can because humans will always be needed to some extent, like you just said. But the
Yeah.
ones that will really do well are the ones that are going to know how to make the most out of the technology that's available.
Yeah, exactly. I even have my assistant, I have him take AI classes every week
Really?
and learn this. Yes, I have him set up like a new agent every week.
Nice. I love that. I want to come and work for you, Kirsten. This sounds great. All right. And okay, well, let's go back to cheese. I'm going to carry it away with AI. So, I don't know. It's a fascinating. It's interesting. I think it just, you know what it is? When you talk to people that get it, it's like you don't have to make things more difficult. And like to be able to just automate the things that take time and don't really have a lot of value, really, in terms of return, if you like, against that time you're spending. And you can automate that so you can actually spend the right amount of time on the more important things, whether it's more team meetings, like more
Yeah.
incredible products, better experiences for people, branding, packaging, you name it. There's all kinds of things you could be spending time on that's far more giving and enjoyable as well, of course, because nobody enjoys tedious paperwork and ticking boxes.
Yeah.
It's just a simple thing. And even if you employ an administrator, I'm fairly sure they don't enjoy that job either.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And I think that's what excites me about AI the most is I've been bogged down in a lot of those things for so long. And it's now I'm like, oh, finally, I can free myself from some of this stuff and focus on innovation, strategy, and stuff like that. Like some of the AI stuff for email has been life-changing for me. I can get through my inbox now in 10 minutes where it would take hours and hours before.
What do you use? Which one do you use?
I use Superhuman, which I
Yeah.
love. It truly does save me a ton of time. And it's important to me. I answer every email. I can actually do that now. And it take 10, 15 minutes rather than half a day. Yeah.
Right. I love it. Kirsten, what's in the future for you guys? You're talking about New York, you're talking about possibly coming into the UK, you're doing some big numbers. What's the next 12 to 18 months look like for you guys?
Yeah, so we do have some big plans. We are talking to another company about a potential ingredient slash technique that is very innovative that we may partner on, which would actually give our cheese the stretch and melt. It's like the last missing piece with vegan cheese, keeping the ingredients natural, but also getting that stretch and melt. So that could be huge for us, and that would come next year. We're also going to be developing some other cave aged cheeses, cave aged blue, stuff like that.
Right.
And we're also going to be focusing on opening up some other fulfillment centers to keep her shipping reasonably priced and also fast. So we're going to be opening up a fulfillment center on the East Coast and then potentially the West Coast too.
Wow. Big plans, big ambitions, man.
Yeah.
That's great. And so what? So it's you and your husband still running it?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
How does that work? Is that?
It has its ups and downs. It's challenging, of course. Yeah, running a business with your partner, it can be really hard, but also really good. He brings stuff to the table. He's got strengths I don't have. He's really good at construction and operations. So we complement each other really well. So that's a huge plus. And I couldn't imagine doing all this alone. That would be no. So having that support system and you're in it together. But yeah, of course, it can be hard because you're together all the time. You're talking about work all the time. You're working basically around the clock. That's the downside, right? So you never really
You
take
would
a
never
break.
switch off, do you? Yeah, absolutely. Because whether you're at home or in a business, and also the conversation is going to be mostly taken up with the business, isn't it? Because it's not my wife who talk about her job or her day and her colleagues and all the rest of it. And I talk about mine. You're talking about the same things, right? All the time.
Exactly. So that's something we need to work on and be more disciplined about and try and carve out more time that's not work stuff. That's we have not been good about that and we have to get better about that. We really do. So yeah, that's the challenge for sure. But like I said, there's no way I could have done it without him. There's no way. Yeah.
It must be nice actually to have the support there. That's not just emotional support, if you like, but actual hands-on support.
Yeah. Yeah. Grateful for that for sure.
And what's in all of these 6 years, you must have had some pretty horrific moments, like we all do in business.
Yes.
Is there anything that stands out? What's been the most kind of horrific moments and what happened?
Yeah, I was just reflecting on this a few years ago. We were in a smaller production facility, and I go there on the weekend to tend to our brie in our brie cave. And I walk into the cave, thousands of whales in there, and they're all covered in black mold. Yeah, and you could tell as soon as I walked in there, I knew something was wrong. The cave felt different. It was damp. There was a smell. I'm like, uh-oh. And I start looking, and yeah, sure enough, all bad. And that's always been our number one selling cheese. It's on our number one selling sandwich at the restaurant. Devastating. It's just devastating. And it takes 2 weeks to make. So it's not like you can just replace it overnight. It's the worst thing to go bad at scale, right?
How did it go bad? Was it just like a temperature difference or something? What was the reason for that?
It was that moisture that the moisture was too high. We had to reduce the moisture in the recipe. In that moment, first experiencing that, it's like you just want to quit. Gosh, because it's not the first time that happened, right? Or that's how our recipe has evolved, is from these mistakes. But this was at a much larger scale, and it's gosh, but then you pivot, like you pivot in your head and you're like, okay, let's focus on test and learn and just work through this and figure it out and just fix the issue. And that's what we did. And we got to the bottom of it. And then that's when the New York Times reached out, actually. Lucky, perfect timing. If they had reached out literally a few months earlier, that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had, because they were only interested in the brie. And if we wouldn't have had any product to send them. Yeah, that was a huge challenge to overcome. Painful, a lot of loss financially, all of that.
Morale as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, morale, everything. It just crushes everything. And the challenge with cheese, especially with cheese, there's no manual, right? Because no one's made this before, this type of cheese. So it's not like you can just pull up a brie manual or whatever. Ours is different. There's no manual. And then anytime there's an issue, the only way you can really figure out a solution is by running a bunch of tests, which is very time consuming. So they're hard. These issues are hard to recover from. They take a long time and a lot of money, a lot of resources. And I have heard of other companies who did throw in the towel when stuff like this happened. And they were like, okay, I'm done. I think was one reason we've survived and we don't have a lot of competitors. I do think this is why we don't have a lot of competitors. It does take a lot of perseverance to figure these recipes out and work through these issues.
And I think we did a happy story here. What's been the most kind of, at what point have you looked back and thought, wow, has there been anything that's happened in particular importance or like a major win? What makes everything worth it?
Honestly, what makes everything worth it to me is when I'm sampling cheese to a customer. And yes, I still do this. Like I just did an event a couple of weeks ago where I did this, and their response is, "This is vegan? I can't believe this is vegan."
Right.
And that's it for me. And that's what keeps me going every day, is why I do what I do. And it tells me we're on the right track.
Nice. Wow. What kind of challenges do you foresee in the future? What are your kind of day-to-day bugs, if you like, that you're trying to fix and get in the way?
Right now, we've grown so fast. It's like we don't really have a team of executives. We don't have a team of executives. We don't have a big team of managers. We have a couple managers, and we have a team of 70 people.
Wow.
And it's a lot. Fred and I looking at this and wondering, who do we need to hire? What are our first hires? Do we have the budget for that? What does that look like? So that's a big change for us, because for the past 6 years, it's been me and Fred as the executive team, and it's gone to the point where that's not sustainable and we need to figure it out. But it's challenging because you don't want to hire the wrong person, of course, especially at that level. And there's a lot of considerations that go into that. You have to be really careful when building out that team. So that's like a big challenge that we're working through now.
Yeah, I share your pain. It's difficult rescaling and putting the right people in. It can make or break really for the wrong choice. But at the same time, I think with your incredible AI and technical skills, I'm sure you can put together some sort of a process for recruitment where you can, I don't know how it is in the States, but here when you put a job, there's a lot of applications, but most of them are just a bit of a waste of time, to be quite honest. But you still have to manually go through most of them. At the moment, actually, I'm creating a solution for a recruitment company, and it's going to be very smart. It's going to be a system where it's going to screen everybody, and there's going to be an AI agent as well that's going to actually interview people ahead, automated. Right. And then you're basically going to create a much smaller list of specifically chosen people that's gone through a funnel. And anyway, I can talk to you about it sometime if I implement it, but I'm quite excited about this. And yeah, it's going to take a lot of time, I think.
Yeah, I need that in my life for sure.
Yeah, right.
I just put up a post and I got 200 applicants in 24 hours.
Woeful, isn't it?
Yes, so it's like, yeah, that sounds amazing. Actually, we were just at Inc. 5000 event, and the number one company on the Inc. 5000 list you can create avatars of yourself that
You're
can
in.
join meetings and can interview people. So it looks like you, it acts like you, it's trained like you, but it's an avatar doing those things. So
We've got to make the most out of these things. It's just the way it is. The way it is. The way it is.
yeah.
Great. Kirsten, I've really enjoyed this podcast. I must admit, I wasn't expecting such a technical dive in, if you like. It's getting me really excited about this kind of talk. And it's nice to hear that there are people really embracing this technology that we are, in many ways, blessed to have. I think the same situation 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have actually survived, if I'm really honest, as a business, without a lot of this kind of opportunity to streamline and automate things. And by the sounds of it, you would have had some issues yourself if you hadn't jumped on the technical side of things to make it work in your business. So I think, well done you. I guess well done me. We just got to we've got to innovate, isn't it? We've got to push boundaries, particularly in the food industry, which can be extremely unforgiving. Walking into a cellar full of mold, and you've got an entire kind of batch of cheeses that you've got to put in the bin. There's all these kind of challenges. And part of the reason for the podcast is to bring these stories to light, because I'm sure there's tens of thousands of your customers that have enjoyed your wonderful cheeses, but I'm sure not many of them know the kind of pains you've gone through to be able to produce that cheese and get it to them in the condition that it's got to them. And I think it's nice to bring these stories to light and make people realize that actually, do you know what? Behind every single bite, every single drink, anything at all like that, the story beyond what it's taken to get that product there is extraordinary.
That's so true. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. Yeah. I have to remember that when I'm eating other products too.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears,
Yeah,
I'm sure,
literally.
went into most product food innovations that we're just so used to it just showing up and being there. And it is easy to forget everything that went behind the farmers, the packaging, the all of
Oh,
it, the
yeah, legit.
transportation.
Every single crossroad, if you like, within the food, you got thousands of different stories just to get a one product.
Yeah.
Consumer.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a story on somebody traced all the steps to get a cup of coffee in your hand. It was like hundreds of touch points to get a cup of coffee. And he like sent gratitude to all of the people that were involved along the way. I was like really interesting because you don't think about that when you get
No,
a
you
cup
really
of
don't.
coffee.
You don't. We don't. Even I don't every time. But
Yeah.
I think when I do start talking to food businesses, then I really do. It hits home just how complex of a system the food industry in particular is. And of course, especially when you're dealing with perishable goods, they do have a shelf life, they do have temperature sensitivities and handling requirements and all the rest of it. It's a very complicated industry to operate in.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
What an inspiring conversation with you, Kirsten. Really appreciate this. So, Kirsten Maitland from Rebel Cheese, proving that innovation, sustainability, and craftsmanship can coexist beautifully. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the London Food Network on LinkedIn, YouTube, and all podcast platforms for more stories from leaders across the food industry. And remember, this podcast is brought to you by Embrace AI Consultancy, helping food businesses save time, increase revenue, and future-proof their growth through AI-powered systems. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Sebastian Candelon, and I'll see you next time on the London Food Network podcast. Thank you, Kirsten.
Thank you. Bye.